people who will not want to do certain things because it doesn't come with money. It's crazy. But sometimes through the doing, you are able to learn and even get into some of these spin-offs that I'm talking about. So how are we being creative? How do we bring about new solutions, especially within existing organizations, what we also call entrepreneurship? I also talk about enterprise development, and I'll be intentional talking about the universities. I've been involved for the last 6 or 7 years about university enterprises. I'm a board member of our university's enterprises. So the university has actually set up a company, a limited liability company, producing products. And it's been very, very interesting. I have heard people saying that the university's business is not to do business. So university is there to teach. University is not there to do business. I disagree. Because the current trend of things, as I'll paint to you, says that the university should teach but also do business. Some of the controversial points that I have probably tried to put up within the last couple of years. Because the universities, businesses, or companies, or organizations are labs for our students. So if the university, for instance, has a guest house, it is a lab for students in tourism and hospitality management. So I'll be talking about policies. We need to begin to touch also, on our policies, our laws, because the times are different. And so we need to begin to look at them. So I'm being intentional here talking about universities through their research commercialization, setting up initiatives that will help them around their off-balance sheet activities. We know the university's balance sheet. I know the accounting and finance people are here. And we know what off-balance sheet activities can do for the organization. I'll be talking about entrepreneurial university. The first one, I'm saying the university doing business. The enterprise development. But here I'm talking about entrepreneurial university. And I will share with you some of the controversial points I have shared in several platforms when we are measuring university impact. There are no rankings. There are no rankings. And what you need to know is that in recent times, even for the rankings, they are talking about the number of IPs, intellectual property, number of IPs that the university has registered as a major metric. If you don't develop anything, you can't copyright anything. So now they say that they really are looking for this metric of IP registrations as a yardstick to measure university impact. So our entrepreneurial university, I'll touch on socio-economic and environmental impact. Sustainable development, a major concept, and I think it's becoming a house name. Of course, we have just barely 6 years to end Agenda 2030 by the UN. Of course, we still in Agenda 2063 by African Union. By sustainable development, I'll be talking about environment, social, and governance. Aligning that with the 3 Ps, profit, people, profit, and the planet as well. So if you move with me along this tangent, then we would be able to understand the elements that are found within this presentation. I'll start off once again with the acknowledgement, especially to Vice Chancellor, University Management, staff and students of this great institution, the Chairman and the planning committee, especially Madame Juliet. And thank you for giving me opportunity to be here to share my view about this important subject of entrepreneurship. So, Chair, let me give you a little bit of background using this data about the number of startups. You know, this was a research that was done with a couple of countries, not every country, but it gives us an idea of this whole business we talk about when this will be a business about entrepreneurship. So there were an estimated 332.99 million SMEs as of 2021. And we saw an increase over the period of about 4%. So we're looking at the data between 2021 and 2019 and 2021, and we saw an increase. And obviously so, because people have found this as an avenue, for them to be able to make a living. In Africa, we saw the data actually shows that in Africa, the growth or the countries that drove that growth were around Algeria, Kenya, and Angola. Ghana was also within the data set, but we find out that there were so many businesses being set up in these countries. Sub-Saharan Africa accounted for over 43.8% of early stage deals. So any deals, any financial transaction associated with business, we saw more of it within startups. So it means that more people want to go into startups. A very interesting story is that Ghana and Accra is emerging as one of West Africa's fastest growing tech hubs. So when it comes to tech hubs, Accra is gradually becoming, a destination for firms that want to go into tech startups. And in 2022, startups alone, in terms of volumes of investment, you were told that I have a finance background small. So let me do the numbers small, I'll come back. It's very important. So startups were able to raise around $202 million in capital in 2022. And this was information from the Ghana Innovation Ecosystems report in 2022. So it's a sign that this area or this sector is very, very important. Now, okay, why must Ghana be intentional about entrepreneurship and SMEs? Why? It is a fact that we have exploding youth population. We know it's a fact. I remember, was it in 2018, I was in Tampere in Finland, and you could walk. A town like Sunyani, you could walk for meters, and you not meet anybody. Occasionally, you meet some old or aged person, walking. But just go to town right now in Sunyani and see if you can walk for 100 meters, 200 meters without meeting anybody in the day. And in most instances, they are young people, they are children. And very soon, they will be looking for a job. They will be looking for jobs. So I took a little data from the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. And on the average, we are graduating over 100,000 students in a year. That is from GTech. Average. But my question is that, are we really starting up to 100,000 businesses in Ghana? Because we know that most instances, public sector and private sector can only pick a handful of people. So we need to be intentional about it. We are here, we are also having conversation around startups, etc., etc. But there's also a challenge. A number of SMEs failing. Again, Africa, I picked this data from Statista, and Africa has an SME fail rate of around 54%. So yes, we are starting, we are encouraging everyone to start, but the point is that those that are started, do they even survive? What are some of the challenges? Now, Ghana is ranked third, or was ranked third in 2020, with a 74% startup failure rate. So they will start, or we will start nicely, but most often than not, within 5 years, the businesses are not there. That was followed by Ethiopia and Rwanda as well. The nature of our export. Prof. Chair, I took this data from the Ghana Vegetable Producers and Exporters Association. And this was data for 2022. And we imported $400 million worth of tomatoes from Burkina Faso. I asked myself, can't we plant tomato in Ghana? So I hope you have started reflecting on the issues that probably I'm going to raise in this lecture. Other imports, poultry, detergents, mineral water, and you are aware that mineral water in a few years might be more expensive than your mobile phone because all our water bodies are gone. And I'm happy the narrator mentioned where I come from. And so I say what I have seen, not what somebody told me. For those of us from Western North, if you get to our location, there's no water. But our people in the village are now buying water to send to the farm. I don't know the case in Sunyani and the communities around you, but they buy water to take to the farm. So that is something you and I need to think about once we're talking about sustainable development. So what is entrepreneurship? I've already, discussed with you what entrepreneurship is and for which we are here today. Now, one thing we might not be aware are the critical role entrepreneurship plays, or it continues to play in our country. Occasionally, I'll share some data with you, and these are facts. These are things that are happening. So, like I said, new venture founded by people or a group. Now, I modify this definition a little bit now to include a group. But most often than when we talk about entrepreneurship or when we teach entrepreneurship and we talk about an entrepreneur, we focus much more on an individual than a group. But there can also be a group of entrepreneurs. And it's one of the things that is absent in Ghana. You go to the market right now, you see everybody is selling tomatoes. Everybody is selling yam. They will never come together as a group. And if I ask you, I know you tell me it's because of trust. So the focus of entrepreneurship, and as a university, I remember all the business plan competition we've run, at least from 2012, our last funding sources ended in 2022. So for 10 years, the business plan competition we've run, we always encourage people to come and work together as a team. And it's also very, very important. So you find the engineers working with those from social sciences and also working with those from business. It is always one of the effective ways of getting this thing done. So I just brought this up to let you understand that when we talk about entrepreneurship, we are not only focusing on individual, but they can also be a what? A group of people coming together. So the young people, you need to also learn to work together. And one thing about entrepreneurship is that we recently did some work on copyright issues in Ghana. One of the things we found during the research work was that most of the businesses that are started in Ghana are not growth-oriented. A number of them are more of hand-to-mouth. So they are not growth-oriented. In fact, most instances, they start, and instead of growing, you find that they rather continue to diminish. So we need to really look at this whole sustainable development agenda and economic growth forward, because most often than not, what we talk about are the lower levels of innovation. They are not even made to a high level innovation. They are more lower level in nature. But very high level growth and innovation is likely to attract more investment. I already also mentioned spin-offs. And universities, there is a university we work with in Germany. On campus, they have about 400 company offices on campus. 400 of them. And they do all manner of things. Testing fuel for BMW, doing something for Volkswagen, or something. And out of that, a number of the students who have been able to get into these companies have spin off with businesses. And when I had a conversation with them, they told me that, well, they used to do 80 startups a year. But now, they want to do about 120 startups. That is number of students who are starting their business and leaving their university. They say 100 was 80. And now they want to do 120. I didn't see anything, but I was thinking that how many startups in my university do we churn out in a year? Remember I told you that definition about university ranking and impact are now found in these areas. I'll get there, and I'll show you some of the metrics. Corporate entrepreneurship, I think I mentioned that. It is also about hiring and developing entrepreneurial-minded people. But resources should also be made available. Entrepreneurial-minded people. Okay? That is also a way by which we're able to encourage to get more entrepreneurs into our organization. I sometimes love to talk a little bit about the theories. It's important. Once you speak on a platform of a university, theories are also essential. I always tell my students that this is not I don't want to say it. So let's do a little bit of theories. Now, one of the theories in entrepreneurship which I just want to emphasize a little bit, because we are also talking about we're talking about sustainable development. So I found the sociological approach or theory also as a very important way by which we can have a discourse around entrepreneurship. Now, a very interesting thing about this theory or approach is that it seems to identify very interesting people within the society that most often than not will strive to become entrepreneurs. So anytime I've come across people say, oh, me, I don't have that. Me, I don't have that. Me, I don't have that. I say, that's the reason why you can become a good entrepreneur. Now, within a sociological approach, they find a marginalized group as being people who often than not also take on this whole responsibility of becoming entrepreneurs. And in Africa and in Ghana especially, it's been found that we have more women, especially getting into these areas of entrepreneurship. And persons also with disabilities, once the enabling environment is also provided, can also get into this space. And then the minority group in society have also been found, to be more entrepreneurs, migrants as well. And I remember my mom used to tell me stories about Mami Alata. When those days we used to have Nigerians here, Mami Alata basically sells everything. And by so doing, they are so much powerful within the community. So Mami Alata sold everything in there. So everybody, has to deal with Mami Alata, because he sells practically everything. This is also an encouragement to our young people. Social network that also promote trust are also ways by which people become entrepreneurs. And I also want to touch a little bit on business models. And in recent times, most of the projects we've done, most of the business plan competition we've run, currently we are running one, we call it the Art for Dev. Applied research for teaching. And in that, it's all about the sustainable development. How are people able to bring up green jobs and green products? So the models of circularity is now the order of the day. The models of circularity is the order of the day. And there are a lot more opportunities around if you Google. I picked a data from the Ghana Climate Innovation Center. And within 2022, they were able to incubate about 120 firms or 120 startups. Incubators are key if we have to promote entrepreneurship within our space. So in most of the conversation that I will have, I will do it also within this framework, sustainability, and then the sociological approach to entrepreneurship. Now, enterprise development in universities. The first point is actually research commercialization. And Prof, you were up on that. As if I've shared my slides already with you. So when you mention research commercialization, I say, wow. Guys, colleagues, we produce vast knowledge. Even our students. Vast knowledge. Okay, through our research findings. So the water company we ran at UCC was out of somebody's research findings. We start up a detergent producing business. It is also from somebody's research findings. Recently I got to know there's also another one on yogurt. It was from somebody's research findings. So, if for nothing at all, the university can partner, because now uni industries are a very common practice. And I'm happy he touched on Coventry, which I work with closely. The University of Coventry. There are programs where students get in, you exit with business. So that's what you go there to do. You exit with business. So whether you learn accounting or finance or whatever you are learning, you are coming up with business. And so, like I said from the beginning, Chair, we need to begin to rethink a lot of things. We need to change our whole mindset about how universities is self-run. Because sometimes I feel the model we are running on currently does not fit into our problems and our situation. I've said this severally at various points, and sometimes I think people are not so excited. When I was preparing, I was just trying to look around, and I saw UG, KNUST, EUW. I don't know for UNE, probably we would also share experiences during the discussion time. I had the opportunity to meet with one of these universities, and they were telling me, the finance officer told me that they are paying their staff, because the money had not then come. They pay their staff from their printing press. That's what I was told. So that's where they are taking the money from. But it requires resources, and it requires the right human, the human resources. Industry partnerships, I think I've already mentioned this, so I don't want to, say it over and over again. But collaborations are very important. Uni-industry partnerships, university-industry partnerships, not just linkages, but partnerships to initiate a project. Joint curriculum development is not a very common thing. It's a very common thing. Currently, the business school in Cape Coast is about running, because they've gotten accreditation for running a joint program with the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Prof Chair, we need to diversify. We need to diversify. Can we do it with COCOBOT? Can we do it with a mining firm? Can we do it? I don't know. Even the private sector, the associations, we can explore something. So I mentioned impact, which is very, very important. What is a university's impact when we have this conversation? What is the impact? So I put a question there. UNES, new product development in the energy sector. My question mark didn't come. So we are a university in the area of energy and natural resources. Have we developed the new products or new solutions in the area? That's something for all of us to think about. And yesterday, the University of Cape Coast honored His Royal Majesty, the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II. And in his acceptance speech, which we were listening when we were driving here, he asked my university, the University of Cape Coast, that you are supposed to be a beacon of education and also ensure that all policy and programs within education, work in their best possible way. What are the things we are seeing now about educational reforms? And he asked several questions. I don't know if anybody had the opportunity to, and they were very, very, very important questions. And he was asking about the university, government, and the private sector, how we come together, to develop solutions for the problems around us. And I was asking why people are now questioning the relevance of universities. Okay, now ranking is competition. So and so ranking. So and so ranking is now the order of the day. But the point is that the people, the community actually feeling our presence? About economic impact. Now, I'm talking about university-linked startups, and I'll continue to talk about startups. University-linked startups. Earlier on, I mentioned the idea about, spin-offs from the universities. But there are several questions we need to also ask, also even about our teaching and teaching methods. Are they the ones, or are they in a position to produce people who can initiate startups? Environment. What is our research? How are research creating solutions for the things around our environment? So, in my search, I found these as some of the indicators for currently ranking or looking at or analyzing the relevance of a university. We will continue to produce the degrees, so there's no problem with that. But when you produce the degrees and they are not getting jobs, what will they do? They will form the Association of Unemployed Graduates. That's what they will do. And guys, you see what is happening in Kenya? Have you been monitoring the international news? It is really very important. The young guys got onto the street that they are tired. They are not getting jobs. Do you know what's happening in Nigeria? Oh, you have not been paying attention. Please do. Please do. I have said this, that if we don't play our game well through social media, and that's what happened in Kenya. They never gathered at any point. They only planned the demonstration on social media. They planned with people from the US. There were people, Kenyans from diaspora, who traveled to come because things were not good. So, colleagues, we are sitting on a time bomb if we really don't begin to change the way we are doing things. So the number of degrees are fine. But I tell colleagues that now students don't come to your university because they need a degree. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask, but I think so. What do they come here for? Anybody with any idea? If you remain quiet like that after this, there'll be a quiz. Please, they come to you for a career. They come to you for livelihood. They don't just come to you for a degree. No. So please take note. So now in assessing universities and impact, the career, the number of solutions, and solution can be a product, it can be a good, can be a service, can be a process, anything. The number of startups, the number of IPs registered, intellectual property, I told you about it. Very, very important. So from our research findings, something is developed, and then we try to commercialize it. We seek a copyright for it. Spin-offs, I mentioned that. Solutions. Percentage of your students employed when you do your tracer studies. Those are the elements that we need. Your CSR engagements within the community, can you count, head count, the engagements? Number of jobs created by the university, the university's enterprise. I'm not talking about what government has given us, but I'm talking about through our own, like I told you, if you come to my university, when we set up the enterprise, we employed people into it. So this is not from government. So if tomorrow you decide to, make water or produce water, the people you are employing into that space, that is employment that has been created by the university. So these are some of the metrics. In fact, there are so many metrics. As for the ranking and all those things, as they say, it's for sugar reasons. But it's nothing. And sometimes, I've said this somewhere. I know people who disagree with me, but that is my mind. There is something that you call maths and science. And then we find everybody in my school, hey, and they give questions. Students, I've been asking, Chair, why don't we put these children into labs to produce something? That's the level of the competition. That's food for thought. So we continue to talk about sustainable development, everything we write, we are sustainable development. But I had the opportunity to visit Kenya. And I went to the Muli Children's Family. Has anybody ever been there before? Oh, Prof. The things I saw there, I was amazed. It's a whole community. They take care of children. You can always go online and Google. There are so many videos. There are so many wonderful things that they have done there. But when I got in there, they have created their own dam to dam water in that space. Their own solar, their own water, their own farm. They are practically their own everything. So we met the father, they call him Daddy, and Daddy was explaining to us how they will not pay water bill, they will not pay electricity bill, and the food that they generate there is what they use in feeding the thousands of children in that home. It was amazing. In Kenya. And I'm told now they have a branch in Uganda or so. And I was asking them whether they are bringing something to West Africa soon. But it was so amazing. And how every tree is protected. So when you get there, you feel, as they say, at home. So, Prof. Chair, I think that I will leave this out to you guys to really Google and watch videos on the Moli children's family, and we can learn a lot from it as a university. So I question, when lights are off, why should we also? We say we train all the engineers, we train all the social scientists and all that. Why should we even compete with the people for energy? Because we have abundant sunshine, isn't it? So what are we doing with it? Can't we begin to work on water that our universities will not pay water bill? The waste we collect. I have undertaken a project for over 8 years on waste management, plastics and electronic waste. And I got to know that in our homes, every morning, although we are poor, we sweep money and go and throw it away. If we are poor, do you know the volumes of sachet water you consume in a year? Assuming you were holding on to those plastics, the things they can do. I don't want to deviate. So let me come back home. So I realized that we talk more about sustainability, but technically, we are not on path to becoming sustainable. At least our galamsey is an evidence that we are not on the path of becoming sustainable. So we need to be intentional about these things. But it's so interesting. Lord, that's why the legal framework is important. You separate your waste. And do you have Zoom Lion here? You do. And all the other ones. Especially the minor ones. When they come, they put everything together. Your mobile phones. I don't know your last mobile phones. I don't know where they are. But I don't know whether you are aware that some of your mobile phones contain gold. Now, when I said gold, I saw that faces have changed. Very, very precious metals that you can make money out of it. So we need to even begin to think about our academic programs. The ones that we are delivering. Are they producing the resource? Our social impact, diversity, equity, and inclusivity is now a major issue. Okay? Governance. Issues about ethical practices. Now, as part of governance and reporting, even we need to report our environment, social, and governance elements in our financial reports as well. So, Chair, there are so many, but I need to proceed because of my time. So what are the trends? What are the trends? And this is also for my colleagues who are here. Teachers. Teachers. You know, what is happening currently is that the students that we are teaching, they are ahead of us. Their world is different from ours. So yesterday, I remember we were talking about ChatGPT. Well, that was 3 days ago with my students. We're talking about it. Should we allow students to use it? Or we shouldn't? How about if the students begin to use that to write the assignment and submit? I know you are waiting for me to say something, but I will not say anything. So, and I've said it severally. Teachers, we need to be careful. And schools. Sometimes up here we have 1960 buildings, and we have 1990 curriculum, and we are training students for 2090. Think a little bit about it. So the point is that our students are ahead of us. And if we really want to get there, we need to find a way of moving ahead so we can lead them well. That's all that I'm saying. I teach a course called Design Thinking and Innovation. And I teach to marketing and procurement and supply chain students. In the course, apart from our course outline, well, if you are a student and you bring your book and you want to take notes, you can find something to write because there are no lecture notes. There are no lecture notes. So first day when I say it, the student get confused because of the way we have been trained and socialized. So it's confused. They get confused once you say there are no lecture notes. And these students, anytime they have to design their project or their product, more than 90 to 95% of them bring products or solutions or proposals in technology. Think about it well. Please, any of you can have a survey around, especially the programs that are has some of these elements. About 95% of them. But what are we teaching them? Is it just about the conventional things we teach? Or we are with them? Their word is technology. Their word is their mobile phone. Students want to watch videos. Teachers say that they should go and read textbook. No, I'm telling you the reality. And until we begin to change the way we do things, we should forget it. I've come across, you know, I was introduced that I'm the director for quality assurance, so I've seen things. People reading or dictating notes, quantitative subject, dictating notes. So if you miss one of the numbers, that's the end of you. Dictating. I ask myself, why don't you direct them to photocopy? Or type and send it to them? Or show them the book? Charlie, I hope you are aware that robots have started doing tutorials. Robots. One of my students who is in the US, last year, December, called me and said, hey, Prof, immediately we got into the school, one of the buildings, immediately you get a robot to come. May I help you? What do you want? And so he didn't know. The robot came from behind. He thought the people had followed her from Ghana. So a chunk of their thinking now is technology. I'm telling you, And it's in all areas. So lecturers, we need to up our game. So these are the emerging trends. Public sector entrepreneurship. We've seen effort by government and other players ensuring the NEIP. I don't know whether any of you is associated with the NEIP, the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program. And they tell us that they've actually made a lot of inroads. At least this was the data we got from their website. Curriculum integration. I know that maybe practically every unit in the university here, your students at least goes through entrepreneurship. Goes through entrepreneurship. Very, very important. AI and automation. Please, that is the way it is. This was data I had from Ghana about even adoption of AI of SMEs in Ghana. And so, please, these are the emerging trends. And so, if you teach and you are teaching, if you are training people, and these elements, these things are not there, forget it. Forget it. And from my students, the experience I've had, they would always go, so sometimes ask, but I thought you were going to tell me that marketing or procurement, but they will go and say, oh, I'm going to set up a website. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do. I said, wow. So we need to up our game. So the law is important. The law is important. And there's been effort, okay? The Ghana Enterprises Agency Act. If you have the opportunity, please also read it. There are very good things in there. I mentioned the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, NEIP. I did mention that we also have the copyright laws. Although, in a paper we did, we tried to review aspects of the copyright laws with respect to innovation. And we realized that it tends to more favor higher level innovation rather than what? A lower level innovation. But most often than not, there are people who start at certain lower level with their innovation. As the business grows, then the innovation levels also go up. Universities, and also with their policies, for it to work, then it means that even within, we should also have policy guidelines. I happen to work on our entrepreneurship policy. So we passed 2 policies. The first policy was policy on entrepreneurship, and we had a second policy on business and enterprise development as a guide in the university to help us, with that. And then also international agencies, which most often than not we subscribe to. If you read through Agenda 2063 by the African Union, you find, ideas about entrepreneurship and how countries have been admonished to ensure that their countries become much more entrepreneurial. Of course, the Agenda 2030, it's also there. In fact, from this, and this is also advice to my colleagues, for instance, the Global Green Fund has a chunk of money for people who wants to do something around sustainable development and also, around the DEIs, diversity, equity, and inclusivity as well. So once we have this legal basis, then it is a way. So one recommendation already is that for the universities to foster so that tomorrow when the chief executive is not there and another person comes, the person can still work within the policy framework. So I'm going to share, Chair, I'll be ending soon. I'm going to share some experiences from the work I've done over the period. One of the ways that we are able to support entrepreneurial development, either in our communities or in our universities, is about encouraging students always to develop solutions. And we have done that through what we call the business plan competition. So how do we do it? I don't know how it is here, But most often than not, whenever we want to do a selection, we obviously do a selection because of also funding. We would always take students through an orientation. And the trick is that in almost all grant applications we've done, we try as much as possible to bring this angle. Okay, trying to ensure that we are able to initiate a process where students participate in a way and contribute to that particular project. So most often than not, it has worked for us. It has worked. So once we have the grant or we have the opportunity, students go through orientation, okay, and it's announced during the entrepreneurship classes. And then the students go through orientation. Then after the orientation, there's a training. So sometimes a day or two training. And then after the training, they go through coaching. And once they have coached up to a point in time, then we now invite them to present the ideas that they have. And then after that, we do a selection of the students, and they go through incubation and then mentoring. In fact, in mentoring, what we do is that we accept, of course, an academic has a business knowledge. Other than that, most of the mentoring, we do it with the industry. We do it with our industry partners. And we've been able to plant some good number of jobs. But through that experience, I've also learned a lot about how students can go into a startup. For instance, when they go into a startup, for the first few months, that probably their ideas are still it's more of a pilot stage. How do they survive? So if you initiate any process of ensuring that students go into a startup, but you are not able to get something small to support them, most instances before you realize, they will leave the business. We had that experience. They leave the business and then go and look for a job and get money. There was one during the monitoring and evaluation. We got to the site after 1 year and there was nobody there. I remember I told you they work in groups. We called this person, oh, he's traveled to Tamale. We called this person, oh, he's traveled to Takwa. We called this person, he's traveled to Kumasi. And so we learned out of it that if you really want them to run, then there should be some additional support. But of course, facilities are also important. The simulation labs, okay? The incubation centers, or the entrepreneurship centers, the accelerators, the counseling centers. And now there are a number of these ones around. Please, there are a number of these ones around. I don't know how many are in Sunyani. Chair, do you have an incubator here? It's in the process, okay. But students can always tap. There are some of the incubators in Accra that students can have even an online training. So there are now so many ways by which these things can be done. So these are a few of the things that we've done from my previous projects. We've been able to plant quite a number of jobs or a number of startups for students. Chair, I would only want to highlight on the Imagine project because of sustainability. So in the Imagine project, we were here in Sunyani. We were working with the scrap dealers. We work with the scrap dealers. And do you know where they are? Do you know where they are in Sunyani? Who knows where the scrap dealers are? Sunyani. It's where? Wednesday market. And we saw that there was so much money here in Sunyani. We published a paper. You can find it online. It's called Money Day for Baller. You can find it. Money Day for Baller. And read. It's a gold mine. It's a gold mine. And those guys, the money they have, lecturers, I'm telling you, you will not compare. They have a lot of money. A lot of money. They're scrap dealers. And one unique thing I learned, Chair, from this exercise was to re-examine myself whether I'm really a teacher. Because we have to teach these guys how to keep records, business plan, how to draw a marketing plan. These guys who, and you know them, if you know the people I'm talking about. So you really examine yourself and know whether you are a teacher or you are not a teacher. And these were guys who need it to do their business. It's not now he's going to write an exam, no. They need, so I said, so do I teach and prepare my students for exam, or I prepare them for the word of work? I learned a lot, Prof. Chair. I learned a lot. And we work with over 2,000 of them across the country. 2,000. We have some at Brekum and all place. And I did another work also with what's the name? Oh, the Sampa. Let me remember the name. Cashew. The cashew farmers. Cashew farmers. They are around you. And you know what was happening? GIZ wanted us, now as a university, to support them on even how to draw a business plan to get money. Remember I told you about impact of a university. So that's what they wanted us to do. And Cashew, you know now, I should not tell you. One major challenge that EU had with our Cashew was the how they'll be able to trace the value chain. How did they plant it? What kind of chemicals were used? How did they manage? Who and who are working on the farm? So we harvest it. So that's the challenge EU has. But up until then, we don't have any system of tracking to see whether quality is ensured or assured all through the process. So I learned a lot from the informal sector. Our Bet Ghana project also taught us. We had a lot of interaction with colleagues on campus. It also taught us that as a university or as colleagues, as professors, we need to work in a more interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary way. So engineering people will not say that, well, for us it's only engineering. Business people will not say, oh, as for us it's only business. So now there are a lot more programs. You see engineering, but you see the engineer going to learn sociology. The engineer going to take a course in marketing, going to take a course in finance. So this is some of the very important things that we have experienced, and we thought that it would be good for us to share with you. So we still have challenges. We have. Now, we don't have accurate data on entrepreneurial businesses or small and medium-sized businesses. We don't have. We don't have. We don't. And so planning is very difficult. So I don't know whether there's an entrepreneurship center here. One of the things you might want to do is even to try to collect and keep data on small and medium-sized businesses in the region. Now, this data set, you can make also money out of it anyway. This data set, you can make money out of it. For those of us who use secondary data to do a lot of research work, you know we have to pay for it. And in fact, we are paying. We are paying. So once we don't have it, planning is difficult. The informality. In most of the projects that we did, especially the e-waste projects that we did, we have to help a number of them to formalize, to register. They were losing out on a lot of businesses, you know, not just because of anything, but because they were not formalized. And if we are not formalized, access to finance is in itself a problem. Because I'll not give you money if I can't easily track and trace you. Credit continues to be a problem. I was having a conversation with some bankers when I was preparing, and they said on the average is around 29%. Average, if I'm going to borrow, it's around 29%. And if it's around 29%, corporate tax is 25%. So if you put it together, it's quite chaotic. So policy-wise, if we are calling on government to do anything, these are areas that they need to ensure that they provide the necessary support. Innovation gap. Please, when we teach innovation, I like when the chair was introducing, he said crazy ideas. Yes, crazy ideas. That is what we need to do. I always ask my students, the Wright brothers, who invented what today we call aeroplane, when they were putting those metals together for it to fly, tell me if we're standing by them, as how much we can gossip as Ghanaians. Just you are passing, this guy is tying up metal. Say they are going to do something. What would you have said? But I don't know what they were told then. But you would have said they are crazy. But now, some can take over 600 and 700 passengers and be up there, up to about 18 hours. So we have to be daring. And I always tell my student, my design thinking class, first 3 weeks, complain. Sometimes I can hear my name, on campus. But the last day, when they see they've designed something, the students, they feel extremely good. So I'm saying that we need to also ensure that innovations get to that level. Ghana ranks 99. This was research that was done for, I think, 120 or 140 countries. And Ghana was ranked 99 globally for innovation. In West Africa, we were third. And in Sub-Saharan Africa, we were 7. And one of the key things is that there is low research and development investment. And this, you can see that when you look at the percentage of our percentage of research investment to our GDP. I will not talk about curriculum again because I think I've said it over and over again. So before I sit, what should we do? And I think from all that I've said so far, we have realized that we all have some roles to play. So policy reforms. The Ghana Enterprise Agency Act was passed, but it was more designated towards that particular agency. Now, what people are calling for which we all are adding our voice, is an Innovation and Startup Act in the country to support people who wants to go into any startup or people who initiate startups. Remember I told you that if you go and look at our law very well, our copyright law, it doesn't protect innovations at a certain level. And we think that that thing should be looked at. The focus of our conversation today is also much more on educational institutions. So again, we need to really look at the way we operate, the way we design our curriculum, the way we deliver it, our assessments. Do they include the 21st century skills? How is AI artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and all that. How much are they involved? Because now that's the order of the day. Generative AI, whether you like it or yes. And this slides was designed by generative AI. All that I have to do is to do my write-up and put it in and ask that he should give me. In fact, when he gives me pictures, I'll ask, please, I don't need that pictures. I need these other pictures. And then it will give it to me. That's all. So if you are thinking that all those drawings were from me, no. I've stopped hustling about certain things. Routine things, I've stopped hustling about routine things. I've been called somewhere to go and talk. So I have to now sit down and craft. No. I'll generate the idea, what I want to say. I'll put it into the artificial intelligence. I finish, I said, Charlie, I need some data. This one, when I asked if he gave me some wrong data, then I told him that I don't want that data. So, please, you can't stop the students from using generative AI. You can only, in fact, you disadvantage them. Immediately you put those brakes. You rather have to teach them to use it what? Ethically. And I think it should be the conversation around universities. You cannot. And it's one of the major problems I've had as a country. My wife will tell you a lot of things if you engage her. When the child is going to school, cut your hair. Why? They say cut. The child cannot use mobile phone in the school. Why? They say you can't use it, you can go to other site. Go and ask your kids, those who are doing science, how many practicals they have had. In the 2 years, 3 years. I'm just trying to be real here, guys. I'm being very realistic. So, the children can't use mobile phone in schools. And we have all accepted it. There's nothing wrong with it. Meanwhile, this is a generation that depends on what? On computers. They've not had any exposure to university. And you want them to build machines for you? What are you saying? It's not possible. They will not do it. So we need to rethink the way we are going around things. If there are sites, somebody's responsibility has to block for kids. Let us do it. But you cannot say that they cannot use phones. They cannot use laptops. So they finish. I remember I touched my first computer, Prof. When I was in university, 3rd year, MIS. First computer. Chair, I have spent so much time. I have so many, maybe another time. So we need to change our orientation. How can teachers who have never been in business before teach people to start business? During COVID time, when my first business collapsed, then I understood what it is. It collapsed. Then I tried second one. Now it's hanging. So now when I talk with experience. So, Prof. Chair, it should be a time when we ask our staff to take an externship. What they know, we want them to go a little bit into industry. If even it's 6 weeks, it's fine. It's fine. I'm so uncomfortable sometimes talking about these things, but it's important. I've had an instance where I taught in a class. Somebody tells me, I remember when I used to teach letters of credit in my first year class. Somebody said, well, sir, all that you are talking about, we have stopped doing it. Ever since when I got there, I find my former student who is in practice to invite that person to come and teach that topic. That day, I saw my smoothness level. So I said, we've stopped using it. So, colleagues, agenda is important. Innovations agenda, very, very important. And when I talk about innovations agenda, it's not only for a university. Now, if you have been familiar with the cities in the US, the various counties, they have their own plan of what amount of innovations they want to have in a year. Do we have as individuals? Do we have as departments? Do we have as a community? Do we have as a, this is a metropolis, eh? Do we have as a region? Do we have as a country? Is Ghana saying that, look, within the next 10 years, by hook or crook, we are going to invent a tractor? Go and read about economic history of Japan. Their first combined harvester, when they started it, it was moving backwards. Now all of us, especially universities, now all of us, programs that especially would give us something to run quickly is what our focus is. Why? Because we know all the other challenges that probably time will not permit us to talk about. So please, we need to be up and doing. In fact, we need to up our game. Otherwise, forget about it. Nothing will happen. We'll talk, nothing. Nothing will happen. I was in Rwanda. What they have done is that they are Kigali. But in the first place, you can't walk around and see plastics. But there are those who have been there who tell you, the rivers in the city, if you do like this, you see your face. You see your face. And what they have done is that they have established malls for small and medium-sized businesses. Very decent places. And they are malls. And it's put up by government in connection with private sector. And they are running business. So there's always something for you to start from. Prof. Chair, I have finished. But before I sit down, maybe another time you call me and then I can talk more. Today I'm not. I want to once again show my appreciation to the university for having me, Vice Chancellor, Pro-Vice, Registrar, my sister, and Chair of the committee that has put this together. I also see some of my mates, especially my recent mates. Last 2 years into last year, I had to go and take another program in one university. And it was only the day I was going to graduate, they saw I was a professor. Some of my mates are here. I see them. I see the group also from the University of Cape Coast supporting me. Can you give me a wave? And all the others. My team from my directorate, you know, it was only this morning they called me that they have gotten to Bechem. I didn't know. From the Directorate of Academic Planning and Quality Assurance. I'm really happy to see you guys. But a special one is to my wife, Professor Mrs. Gloria Agyapong. Prof, can you give them a wave? And then my members from my directorate have already acknowledged you. Nancy, the head of our unit here. Nancy, can you give them a wave? Thank you so much. And I don't think I'll be able to acknowledge all, but please, I want to once again say a big thank you for giving me this opportunity. You can find me on LinkedIn, you can find me on Facebook. I'm not so good when it comes to WhatsApp, but you can find me on those two areas. If there are further conversation around this thing you want us to talk about, I'm open. Thank you so much, and I'll now pass on the mic to the chair, and if there are questions, I'm happy to take them. Thank you. says I should sit down and rest.
Small. Oh, we can do it better for him. Wonderful. But still, you never want to acknowledge in the presence of Professor Mrs. Gloria Kakraba Kwashi, Agyapong. Yes. Do you want the professor to be first or the Mrs. to be first? Which one do you want? This is a test case. Which one do you want first? But the Mrs., the professor came and met the Mrs. So Mrs. Professor, right? Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, this program is being streamed live on the Zoom. I'm told almost 30 people are on it right now. Facebook, University of Energy and Natural Resources, or UNE Official, YouTube, UNE TV. So they are there, they are also listening and watching us live. We thank you very much. So as you prepare your questions, and as Professor is resting, have you gotten some water to sip? You left your water here? So take more water. I know Cape Coast people, you like taking more water. So do just that for us. So prepare your questions, but we would like to appreciate the presence of the following people. Let me start from those from outside. Gertrude Mate, University of Cape Coast. Are you here? Thank you for coming. Nancy Odro Asabre, University of Cape Coast. Thank you for coming. Abdullah Sefa Dini, University of Cape Coast. Thank you for coming. Tamba Dari Joseph. Thank you from UCC. Thank you for coming. Amadou Yaya, also from UCC. They came in their numbers. Thank you for coming. Dominic Amwatin, what? Sabin, where are you? Thank you for coming. UCC. Henry Diafo, UCC. Yeboah Jacob, UCC. And the special one now is Mrs. Professor Gloria Kakraba. Does the Kakraba go with AC? I know a lot of people, AC Kakraba. Yours, there's no AC. Thank you. Kakraba Kwashi, Agyapong, UCC. Thank you. And somebody said, in the house, 2 professors. So, how are you doing the economics? And thank you. So they are all from UCC. We appreciate you are coming. Thanks very much. And also from the outside, we have Mavis Danso da Commerces, GES, Regional Headquarters Office. Thank you for coming. Patricia, we are also from GES. Thank you for coming. Samson Adama, STU, Sunyani Technical University. Where are you? Thank you. Gifty Boateng, GCB. But the name is not info. I know you are now called GCB Bank PLC, right? So it's not the GCB, I know. Thank you for coming. Dankwa Nkrumah Joseph, also from GCB. Miranda N. Osan, also from GCB. Thank you for coming. Charles Eshon, ADB. So we are having the banks here. After that, I will do a special fundraising, and I expect the banks to donate to us towards the public lecture. Thank you for all coming. Then let us come home small. Before then, let me visit my media people. You are so welcome. TV3, this news is a news, clear news. We will all be sitting and be watching. Make sure you capture every face. Are you with me? Yes, tell them. From Sunyani, this is news, current news. So they should pause with the politics and then let's hear this once more. So we have the TV3 and we are reporting for Unia TV as well. Thank you. GNA2 is here, Benjamin Akoto. Thank you for coming. Greener FM, Robert, you are here. Our own Greener, thank you. Daily Graphic, you are also here. Ali, where are you? Thank you for coming. Then let's come home. Home, let us give a special welcome to our students. I've seen a lot of the students, especially from the entrepreneurship. They are here to learn. And you are learning, right? You are getting some facts and figures to support your data, right? Thank you for all coming. Then, Professor Francis Ethiogwe, he's out. Paul Nana Inketia, our Director of Finance, he was here. Yes. Dr. Emmanuel Edubuahin, the Dean, School of Arts and Social Science. Where are you, dog? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Dr. Mary Entry, our acting chaplain, but here is the Department of Environmental Management. Where are you, dog? Thank you for coming. Daniel K. Bimfo, Director IT. He was here, I think he's gone out. Victor M. Achud, the Director of Audit. He was also around. Then we have Dr. George K. Anane, Academics and Student Affairs. Welcome. Professor Jonas Akudugu, Dean, Mines. And Prof, thank you for coming. Dr. Yawwache Ajiman, Center 3CGS, Head. Where are you? Oga, thank you for coming. Dr. Nana Ajiman Prempe, Dean, Geoscience. Good. Then Dr. Francis D. Apia, UTAC General Secretary, was here. Maybe he's out. You are on. Okay, let's see you. Let's see you. Thank you. Thank you. And all others, you are special. You are all special. So we thank you all for coming. Now we move on to the interactive section. No questions. Okay. So now, at this moment, I'll hand over the microphone to the chairman of the occasion, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Elvis Asari Bediako, to continue with the program. Prof.
Yeah, those who have already prepared questions. I think he showed the LinkedIn, the Facebook, and then the WhatsApp. So you contact him through that. So we changed the system. Thank you very much. So don't be disappointed. Those who have already prepared questions. This is a public lecture. Yes, all too soon we've come to the end of this unique, historic, and power-packed public lecture. You all agree with me that today we've learned a lot. Plant scientists trying to summarize entrepreneurship. I may make mistake, and so I would not want to dilute. But the good news is that the presentation was so, he reduced it to the understanding of all of us. So my summary is that we've really learned a lot, and looking at the faces of the audience, they all seem to agree. If we agree, should we give a clap? The incubation, we set up a center for entrepreneurship and incubation. I said that it's yet to take off fully, but we have it since 2021. We also established a unique enterprise with the same idea. We hope, everything beginning, it doesn't come easy, just as, So, but we hope that you can also support us. But we also working, in fact, we are rather planning to also poach you from UCC to be part. UNE's home, it's so unique. They didn't hear. So once again, I want to thank all of you. Prof, we are very grateful to you, and we hope that this will not be the last, hopefully within the year at least. I have 4 more years. So within the 4 years, we'll invite you again. This public lecture, I'm sure, has been very educative and eye-opener to all of us. We hope that we're able to contribute, because universities, especially public institutions, have a role to play in creating employment. And I think it's something that we really, we've listened to that. As a university, we also contribute in our quota. When it comes to this startup and all that, our agribusiness students, I think we have made a lot of names. I'm sure you might be aware. Yes, competition involving all the universities. We, students from UNE, topping in most of them. So we are also doing well. But we still need your support because of your vast experience. Having said this, once again, I want to thank you, and I wish you well. Professor Mrs., also thank you very much. It's nice seeing all of you. UCC, thank you once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor. Thank you once again for coming. And let us appreciate the committee, the public lecture committee. I think they've done a good work. They've done a good work. And let's also appreciate the University Relations Office. I think late in the night, they were here doing the arrangement and everything. You guys are good. We thank you for making it good. When we hear that the person is coming from Cape Coast, the Cape Coast, they like beautiful things. So we have to make sure we present to them good things from UNE. And Prof, I hope you do appreciate. Mrs., I hope you do appreciate. Send the good news. UNE is home. Thank you. We will take one picture here, and that picture permits me to be selective. There's nothing fairness in this world. Okay? Agree with me. That picture will involve the main speaker and the wife, plus management and the public lecture committee. They will take it here, right? Then we will move outside. Because of space, then we take the group one outside. For this one, I will not ask whether you agree or not. Just say, yes, I agree, then we move on. So that will be the order. So it will be taken after the closing prayer. It will be taken after the closing prayer. So on this note, I will ask my acting chaplain for the day. Let's give it to her. Engineer Dr. Mrs. Mary Entry. After this, you hand over, then you go. After this prayer, you are no more the acting chaplain, okay? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Today, special blessings, okay?
Thank you. Humbly shall we close our eyes for the closing prayer. Most gracious Father, we bless your name so much for such a wonderful lecture. Daddy, at the beginning of the lecture, we committed it into your hands, and you have been faithful to us. You have given us insight. You have given us food for thought, something for us to go out there and brood over them. We pray that you reign upon our business ideas, that as we go out there, oh God, your spirit will give us insight as to what to do, so that at the end of the day, whatever we are thinking about shall come into fruition. We know the God we serve, that as we have come here, God, to listen to this lecture, telling us about all the business ideas around us, all the potentials that exist in us, we know you are going to work miraculously within us, that as we brood, as we think, your spirit will lead us into great business ideas, and that UNE will be one of the greatest universities for all the world to witness our potentials. In Jesus' name I have prayed. Amen.
Because of the prayers, protocol account, picture no be mine. Why? Yes. Let us all sit and observe. Yes, sit down. Don't move. Madam, join them. Prof, Chair, and Mrs. And the Secretary to the committee, where are you? Secretary to the committee. Yeah. Good.